It's not uncommon for us to see the Googans down at the boat launch, but what is uncommon is seeing a boat launch like this and a Googan move happening. Welcome back, crew, to this week's episode of Googans of the Week. Thankfully, that tug was out of range because that was a whole lot closer than it looked. Now here we go, we're back to the more traditional Googan view down at the ramp. Our guy here is struggling many different ways. One, he's opted to not put his jet ski on a dock. He just has it floating right next to the ramp, so he has to keep coming back and holding the ski so it doesn't float away. Two, he's got a Googan behind the wheel of the truck who just can't seem to figure out how to get this down. Now, of course, I know the single jet ski trailers are a little tougher than your normal trailer, but if he just drops that tailgate, they probably could see it a little better, but instead, they're gonna do this the old Googan way. Speaking of doing things the Googan way, how about we throw a little Googan fall action into it as well? Speaking of falling on boats, the boat ramp's not the only place the Googan makes that occur. But let's go back about 10 minutes later and check on our crew and see how they're doing over at the boat launch. Well, our guy's decided he's going to take another seat and fall again. Things aren't going well down at the launch for this crew, and our driver's got to start all over again because they're all out of whack. Speaking of things being out of whack, somehow this Googan found a way to get this thing all the way up on the beach. Looks like our Googan here will be waiting for that tide to come up to continue back out on their day on the water. And speaking of a day out on the water, let's go see how our guy at the boat ramp's faring as they still try and finish their day on the water. Things, well, they're still going the way they were going when we last left them, except we're about 15 minutes in now. I gotta be honest, this is one of my favorite things to see down at the ramp, when somebody starts giving hand gestures on how somebody else should back the trailer down. If you know how to do it, why not go do it versus having this person do it? Because let's be honest, if you know how to do it, the result's going to be a whole lot better than you putting somebody behind the wheel of your vehicle who doesn't know what they're doing. And typically when you do that down at the boat ramp, things can go wrong pretty quickly. Speaking of things going wrong quickly down at the boat ramp, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go wrong very slowly, like we've already been experiencing with our guy who's now 20 minutes in on this one. But the frustration does finally start to set in, decides he's going to go ahead and do his own version of trailer backup assist, as we see here. But the problem with that, now nobody's paying attention to the jet ski, and of course our jet ski is drifting off the ramp. Again, a lot of these things would have been solved had they just used a dock, tied the ski up, and our guy here went and backed the trailer down versus letting somebody else do it. Speaking of letting people do things who don't know what they're doing, as a captain, it's up to you to be responsible for that. If you've got people out there handling lines and trying to get things done around the boat, you're the one responsible for trying to give the correct orders to make sure things go smoothly. If you don't, things, as we already know, probably will go wrong. Now, it did take a little over 20 minutes, but eventually our crew does wind up getting this on the trailer. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Googans of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here. If not, we're going to hide some bananas on your boat.